This was somehow the easiest and most difficult book I've written so far. So today, Revenge of the Druid Queen is out in ebook and paperback on Amazon. So this is a standalone new adult fantasy adventure with blood magic, sarcasm, battling the undead, and a no spice romantic subplot. This was the first book where I seriously questioned if I could keep doing this. But what kept me going was that I really believed in this story. So from my first idea to final publication was about a year and 7 months. So I got the first idea for this book around February 28th of 2022, and it was published today, October 24th, 2023. But that is not the whole story. This book was a shiny new idea. I was about 5 months into writing Alexia Legends 3, but that book was not going well. Anyways, so I decided to switch gears and draft Revenge of the Druid Queen. And I outlined this book in little bits and pieces from like February to July. And that was while I was drafting this other book. But over those about 6 months, there were only 52 calendar days where I actually added to that outline. And I think that was part of my biggest problem. I started drafting Druid Queen on October 1st, 2022, and I finished proofreading on August 20th, 2023. So if I took all of those scattered outlining days and kind of lumped them together, I would say I spent about 14 months writing and editing this book. So for my last couple of writing projects, I have started keeping a writing log. And this is just to keep track of my progress, but also just for me to look back on. I thought it would be fun to pull a couple of highlights from the writing log for this book. And this includes some of the writing drama on why this book was both super easy and super difficult for me. I have little updates on progress starting in around July, but nothing is really interesting until August 16th, 2022. And the entry goes: working on chapter 10. Don't like it. Struggling to write it. Can't figure out why. That's the whole entry. It was fine. The rest of the August and into the September entries are mostly just small road bumps and word count updates. But then we get into October. So October 28th, midpoint freakout. Is that a thing? Feeling unsure about the story, if things are progressing how they should, if the outline is strong enough, etc. Nothing to do but keep going, I guess. So I think this was me kind of sensing what was coming. The story that I wanted to write and the story that I had ended up writing at that point, they weren't matching. Now we get into the interesting part. We have November 21st, 2022. Yesterday I crossed 100,000 words in the draft when I realized I had a huge problem. I stopped in the middle of a sentence, realizing that the ending was way too dark. It wasn't until I was writing chapter 55 that I stopped in the middle of a sentence and realized this is absolutely not what I wanted, and yet the way I've written and planned it, it is the only way. So at this point, I stopped drafting, and with the help of the brain trust, I had a few long conversations to talk over some options for different endings. So essentially, the flashbacks and the entire story about what happened to Mel, that's the main character, lost her memory, is going to be changed. So, redacted. I can't read the rest of this paragraph. That would be major spoilers for the rest of the book. Though I was doing well on my word count and was on track to have 120,000 by December 1st, I have decided to stop drafting until it's all figured out. So my new NaNoWriMo goal is just to have the whole new ending outlined. But this is the part that I'm like, this is why it was the easiest and also the most difficult. Despite all this, I still like the story. I still think I can work out a satisfying ending, and hopefully the reader will empathize with the character much better than they would have. The tone of this book has become too dark in the last many chapters, and I realized that what I wrote in the beginning, which is a story that doesn't take itself too seriously, is the heart of the project, and is something that I need to intentionally carry through the ending of this book if it's going to work. And I finally finished the first draft on March 31st, 2023. So much longer than I was originally hoping, but it got done, and I'm so happy with the ending. I basically re-outlined the entire last third of the novel and did some major rewrites on existing chapters, changed some of the main characters' backstory, and completely changed the ending. And of course, there were butterfly effects through what I had already written, which was about 80,000 ish words at that point. So it made the most sense to stop and go back and make all those fixes before I could continue drafting. I've had rewrites and changes midway through books before, but nothing to this scale. It was really frustrating to have to go back and do all those changes and kind of tear apart what I had already written. After outlining this book, I had really high hopes that I could just take that outline and run with it, that I could get the drafting of this 120-ish thousand word book done in like 3 months. That didn't end up happening, unfortunately. I think that was a bit too ambitious for me. Since I first got the idea of this book, I have felt like there's something here. Like, this is a story that really intrigued me and that I thought was so much fun. There was just kind of no question to me. This was my next project. I was really excited about it from the start. I just expected that to be my next project after Alexia Legends 3, not before it. I just really like this book. That's it, I guess. It was not an easy project, but I am so happy that it's done. It was very rewarding for me to create, and I'm glad that it's out in the world if it sounds interesting to anybody else. So, this is a standalone with series potential, meaning for me that it is a complete story with character arcs and plots wrapped up. But I could really easily write more books in this world with these characters. So don't worry about any cliffhangers at the end. You can see where more stories would come from, but it all feels kind of finished up and wrapped up in a bow in the end. And I do already have ideas on what I would do next for the series, kind of a way that I would take some previous established conflicts and be able to kind of turn those into main conflicts for other characters in the series. And unfortunately, I do not have my actual author copies yet. I only have this proof copy, one of my proof copies, to show you. But yeah, Revenge of the Druid Queen is out today in paperback and ebook on Amazon. There's all of my tabs for all my little tiny proofreading nitpicks. And these are all the images, interior images. There's quite a few of those. Okay, yeah, Revenge of the Druid Queen is available in paperback and ebook on Amazon, and I am really excited that it is out in the world. That's all I got for you, so thanks for watching. Bye!